Picture this: high school days, selling pot and living life on the edge. It was a different time, a different me. Back then, my main source of income came from dealing. Not the proudest moment of my life, but it was what it was. So one day, I'm just hanging out at home with my girlfriend. We decide to take a walk down to the Circle K a few houses away. We grab some beer, just another regular day. But then, the unexpected happens. The clerk, a guy I'd gotten to know pretty well over time, asks me for a favor. He needed a dub sack. For those who are unfamiliar, that's street lingo for a $20 bag of weed. I tell him, sure, no problem. I take his cash and head back home. But then, I get caught up in one thing or another and I completely forget about it. An hour or two goes by and suddenly it hits me. The clerk's dub sack, the forgotten promise. So I quickly weigh out the pot and head back to the store. The clerk was waiting, but he had customers, so I hang back, waiting for the right moment. Finally, he gets a break and I see my chance. We go around to the back by the ice box and I hand over the bag. We're just standing there chatting, smoking, when I notice this beat-up Volvo in the lot across from us. Now, if I had been paying more attention, I might have noticed the tinted windows. Beat-up Volvos don't usually have tinted windows. But I didn't, and that was my mistake. Out of the car come two men. One tall and skinny, dressed head to toe in denim. The other, a beefy guy who looked like a knockoff version of Dog the Bounty Hunter. They start walking towards us and my gut tells me something's off. I look at the clerk, he looks at me, and in that moment, we both know. We're in trouble. The stage was set for an unexpected encounter. A beat-up Volvo, two men, and a flash of badges. Our lives were about to take a dramatic turn. Remember that Volvo I mentioned? The one that seemed oddly out of place? Well, it wasn't there by chance. It was the vessel carrying two men who were about to shift the course of our evening and possibly our lives. Forever. Out of the car emerged a duo who looked like they had walked straight out of a cop show. One guy was tall and skinny, draped head to toe in denim. The other had a striking resemblance to Dog the Bounty Hunter, only in a beige sweater instead of his trademark leather vest. They sauntered toward us, their approach casual yet purposeful. "Hey, how's it going?" they asked, their words casual, their tone anything but. An exchange of puzzled glances between me and the clerk was the only response we managed before the surprise was sprung. Flashing badges were thrust into our faces and the words "EPD, you're under arrest" echoed in the empty lot. Suddenly we were in handcuffs, separated and searched. The beige sweatered dog look-alike delved into my text, his eyes scanning each word, each thread of conversation. He found a few dubious exchanges, some crumpled $20 bills, and his assumptions started to take shape. He pressed me for confessions of doing a lot of business today, but then they sprung another surprise on us. They led me and my girlfriend back to our porch, stating they had seen me come and go frequently. They wanted to make sure you don't have a pound of heroin in there, they said, threatening a felony charge and jail time if they found anything more than a misdemeanor's worth of evidence. I was in deep water and the tide was rising. The stakes had suddenly skyrocketed. I was no longer just a guy selling pot. I was a suspect, a potential felon, and my life, as well as the lives of those around me, was hanging in the balance. The seriousness of the situation was sinking in, and the weight of it was almost too much to bear. A choice to make, a risky gamble, and a desperate attempt to salvage the situation. Here we were, my girlfriend and I, with these two cops, standing on our front porch, the echoes of their threats ringing in our ears. They wanted to search our house, hinting that they'd seen me coming and going a lot and just wanted to make sure you don't have a pound of heroin in there. They promised a simple misdemeanor charge if we complied. Otherwise, it was going to be jail and a felony. I was adamant, repeating like a broken record, "You need to call my lawyer, I'm not letting you in my house." I was scared, yes, but I was not ready to back down without a fight. But then my roommate walked out, oblivious to the mess we were in. He was a straight-edge guy, a total nerd with a great job. He didn't even drink, let alone smoke. And I was terrified of him losing his job over this. Here's the kicker. I had just bought a quarter pound of mushrooms, a deal too good to pass up. My area had been bone dry for a while, and I had all my deals lined up, ready to go. Just 30 feet away in my bedroom was a table laden with these mushrooms, all neatly weighed out. Add to that the stash of pot. It was a disaster waiting to happen. It was a choice between the devil and the deep blue sea. So I gambled. I offered to let one of them in to search just my bedroom. I knew once they were in, they could do whatever they wanted, but I was out of options. To my surprise, one of the cops, let's call him Beige Dog, agreed. His partner stayed outside with my terrified girlfriend while Beige Dog and I went inside. I led him upstairs past my closed door and into my straight-edge roommate's room. I was playing with fire, but it was a risk I had to take. A heart-pounding, a deceitful move, and a room full of secrets. At this point, the stakes were high, and it felt like my heart was pounding in my chest like a drum at a rock concert. Fear, adrenaline, the looming threat of a criminal charge. It was a cocktail of emotions that could make even the bravest tremble. But sometimes courage comes dressed up as desperation, and in this moment, it was all about survival. So there I was, standing in front of my house with a cop who looked like he'd just stepped out of a reality TV show. His eyes were sharp, scanning the surroundings with an intensity that was almost palpable. But I had a plan, a risky one, but a plan nonetheless. A plan that would either save me or lead me straight into the lion's den. I led him up the stairs, my mind racing 1,000 miles per hour. I was walking a tightrope, and one wrong move could send me plummeting. I could feel his gaze on me, scrutinizing my every move, but I kept my face neutral, my stride steady. And then we were standing in front of a door. Not my door, the door to my roommate's room. The straight-edge guy, the one who never touched a drop of alcohol or smoked anything in his life. I opened the door and the cop stepped inside, his gaze sweeping over the room. The search was thorough, meticulous. He turned over drawers, flipped the mattress, leaving no stone unturned. And all the while, I stood there watching him rummage through my roommate's belongings, my heart pounding in my chest. But not once did he suspect, not once did he question why I'd led him to this room instead of mine. I had managed to pull the wool over his eyes, at least for now. But the threat still loomed, and I was far from safe. The game was still on, and I was walking on thin ice. In the game of risk, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and sometimes the game is rigged. A sigh of relief, a lesson learned, and a story to tell. As the last drawer slammed shut, the final echo reverberated around the room, a symphony of suspense coming to a close. My heart pounded in my chest, a wild drum echoing the rhythm of survival. I stood there in my straight-edge roommate's room, my secret stash untouched, my secret life undiscovered. I had made it through a maze of danger, a tightrope walk between freedom and a future behind bars. The stakes had been high, higher than any high I'd chased. I'd gambled with fate, played a game of chance with my life on the line. And as the denim-clad officer walked out of that room, the dice stopped rolling, the roulette wheel came to rest. I'd won this time by the skin of my teeth. But as the adrenaline began to ebb, replaced by a wave of relief, I found myself standing on the shore of a new realization. I'd been playing with fire, dancing a dangerous dance. It wasn't just my life I'd risked, but the lives of those around me. My straight-edge roommate, my terrified girlfriend, even the unsuspecting clerk. We were all entangled in the web of my decisions. In the aftermath of that day, I found myself staring into the mirror of self-reflection. I looked at the man staring back at me, the man who'd risked it all for a quick buck, the man who'd put those he cared about in harm's way. And I realized it was time for a change. I learned a lesson that day, a lesson etched in the annals of my memory. I learned that the choices we make, the risks we take, they don't just affect us, they ripple out, touching those around us in ways we can't always foresee. I learned that sometimes the biggest risk isn't taking a chance but not taking the chance to change. And that, my friends, is a tale of risk, deceit, and the unexpected turns life can take.